Alright, hi guys. Let's try this one last time, because I can't really do this anymore when it comes to this certain video. Filmed it 3 times, well, I think this will be my 3rd time of doing it, so let's go. Alright. So, if you don't know about this video, if you don't follow me if you're not friends with me on Facebook, or, are not friends with me in real life, which is basically who I'm catering to, if anything, because anyone outside of it is, basically just coming in as an audience member. So, that's okay. But, I made a post weeks ago, probably a month ago, on ideas for videos, and my mom suggested that I talk about obstacles and how I deal with them, or how I have dealt with them in the past. And while that's all great and dandy, because when I'm thinking, my obstacles in everyday life are, pretty much, a non-problem. Like, there's nothing really like that, there's nothing that really holds me back, either because I've already dealt with them, or it's because they're so minor that, I don't really, I just kind of ignore them and, work around them. I don't really have to do anything. But I made another post asking my friends and family what obstacles that they would like me to talk about, and I only have 3 because everyone else doesn't care, or is kind of like me, where it's we work around our obstacles, or we dealt with them, and it's we probably just forgotten about them. So the first one comes from a friend. I'm not going to say their name. I'll try not to use pronouns unless it's they, them. So not I guess they, them, it's a specific pronoun, but they, them. So they were asking about how to deal with being treated unfairly. I know there's a train. If you guys can hear it, I'm sorry. That's not that's an obstacle, but I can't really do anything about it right now. Alright, so dealing with being treated unfairly. I'm not someone who's regularly has been treated unfairly. It's just not something that I deal with, or I have dealt with it on certain occasions, but for the most part, I don't really deal with it on a daily basis. So, disclaimer, for my personality type, for the most part, when I'm around people, I'm a big listener. I listen to people a lot, even if I'm really close to people, I'm a listener rather than, I'm not, talking most of the time. I can be energetic, but I have my very close, when I'm close to people, I can be more energetic, and more boisterous, and my personality is a little bit louder. But for the most part, my personality is a very quiet personality, where it's very receptive. So I think that helps me a lot, because it it keeps me from getting into fights It keeps me from getting into, pissing people off and, just, because people like to be heard and my personality complements, people who like to be heard. So, that's, my, sort of personality. It's very, I take in a whole bunch of information and I'll collect it and and that's what I do. And I don't really do anything with it, I just have it. But, I'm also very intuitive when it comes to, reading people, like reading their, and not in a psychic way, but just as in a mundane human way of just interacting with people. I'm very, in tune with them. Like, it's because I listen more than I speak. So, it's a lot easier to deal with people. But, I have been. So, the times that I have been, treated unfairly or, was a target of someone, has, been a target of being someone who, was either going through something and didn't know how to express themselves in a healthy manner, or because they're high and mighty and a hot shot and they think everybody needs to love them and put them on a pedestal. So, we'll talk about we'll go in chronological order. So, my first, real dealing with it, as an adult or an adult person, it being treated unfairly. I was at my first job. I'll try to keep this brief. But I was at my first job and I was working with someone who is I've talked about him on my channel. It's my older videos when I was bitching about a coworker because he wanted to be a hot shot. But that's that guy. Deacon is who I'm talking about, if any of my, older viewers. But he decided, instead of talking to me first and, just, making sure we're cool, he went to my boss to, complain that I wasn't, I'm gonna say put him on a pedestal, but, give him, constant interaction and, constant, a constant, need for validation and attention. Okay, for one, he's a deacon, and he's a deacon of a church. I don't know what denomination. I think Lutheran, not my problem. I don't care, not my problem. But I'm still very, I'm uncomfortable and I'm private, for the most part, around hyper-religious people. So anybody who I think could be hyper-religious, I don't want to piss them off or get into it with them because not my personality, and sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. For the most part, I don't like dealing with, confrontation. So, there's that. But, he decided he wanted to complain about me for not giving him attention because I was focused on my job instead. And when I say I'm being treated unfairly, and because, one, first of all, it's kind of a dick move to go straight to the boss instead of talking to me first. Hey, we cool? What's your name? Trying to establish a dialogue. But instead, he went to the boss and, wanted to know if I liked. The boss's words were, are you okay? Are you comfortable with, your coworker, Deacon? And, obviously, I'm lying, try to keep the peace, I'm lying. And because, first of all, kind of a dick move to try and complain about someone who hasn't done anything, bad, or hasn't done anything, towards that person that could be considered hostile or harassment or anything like that. I'm just doing my own thing and working and focused on work. I'm not focused on trying to make friends with some 80-year-old guy because he needs constant validation in a workplace. Like, we don't all have to be friends. We're adults, but we do not all have to be friends. And, so there was that. And the only way I dealt with that was, having a chat with the boss, and then after that, like, for one, I was fucking pissed, because it's a dick move to complain about an employee, to complain about another employee when they haven't done anything to you directly, or to anyone else around them. Like, I was fucking pissed. And the only thing I really did was talk shit under my breath, or I made sure that, like, I was kind of cold. I was colder now than I was then. Like that bitter ice cold, not like I'm just, kind of a cool person. It was like a bitter ice cold, where it's like, you really gonna fuck with me? You really gonna be a fucking little prick? Like, and then, so, we didn't really get along much. We didn't get along after that, because he wanted to start shit, and I'm not gonna even then, I wasn't gonna I didn't want to deal with that, so, I was more focused on work, and not, entertaining him. And the only thing I just talked shit. I didn't talk shit to him. I didn't talk shit to, like, anyone else. All I did was talk shit to a camera and, in my head and, under my breath when he is away. And luckily I didn't have to really deal with him. I didn't really have to deal with him long after that, because he hurt his back, and he's old, so he hurt his back, and he couldn't work there anymore. He couldn't do the job. So, he got replaced. He either retired, he probably retired, let's be honest. He retired, or he just quit and went on his merry little way. So I didn't really do anything. I wasn't gonna start a fight, because he wanted to. I wasn't gonna play into it, and just start something with him, because why would I? Because, like, if he's not gonna have the courtesy to, be an adult human being, and talk to me, and try and establish a dialogue. That's my problem. I think that was my problem with him, is that he didn't establish a dialogue, or even attempt to establish a dialogue. He also lied to the boss, saying that he's always trying to establish a dialogue. If he was, I could not hear him. And we were sitting, from here to where my camera is, that's how far we were away. So it would have been easy for him to start a dialogue if he really wanted to. But no, he didn't. The boss was on my side, though, so I guess he didn't win that one. So basically, I just talked shit. That's all I did. And, his own karma caught up to him when he wanted to start shit. So, that's him. The other time was at my now second job, because I didn't have the second job around that time. I only had that one job. But the second time was with another coworker, and we were, I thought we were friends. I don't really know. You know what? Let's just say we were friends. And whatever. she had her good days and she had her, rough days. And, like, that's fine, because, as long as we're friends, what's the problem? That's not a problem. And, we had we didn't have any beef, and then it was all good. Like, my 21st birthday, she came out to the table, we were good, so, we were great. But I think after an incident where, a customer was an asshole, and I was in the room. I was, in the room, like, I'm gonna try and, elaborate the story. But I was in the room, witnessing a drunk asshole being a drunk asshole to this, to my coworker who is a woman. And, and he's making all these very explicit, suggestive comments, and I'm listening, standing right by her, what should I do? Thinking about what should I do? What's the best idea? What can we do? I'm 4'2". I can't fight off a drunk, grown man who's average size. Like, the best thing I could have done was, if it were to escalate, were to stab the guy. And that's not a very good look. Even if it's a drunk asshole. Yes, while I would probably, I would be in the right in defending myself and to, defending my coworker who was a friend, and then I made the mistake. It's my mistake. I made the mistake of trying to get someone else, trying to get like one of the managers or someone else, and pull someone else, into, to have some more backup. So I left the scene. She's in a room full of people. There are other customers and other people, so she's not totally alone. But I left to try and get someone else, so then they could, have maybe, they would have more experience in dealing with drunks and, drunk assholes. And when I came back probably minutes later, or a few minutes later, this guy is now being, I think child took him out. An adult child had to take him out of the restaurant because, one, he's drunk, and two, I think, from what I heard was had assaulted my coworker and, assaulted my coworker, and another customer jumped in, and, our bartender had jumped in to, beat his ass. Well, not beat his ass, but get him out of the restaurant, of course. Or to put him back in his place. He's drunk. Whatever. But still. So, there's that. And then after that, that's when the problem started with her and me. It was like a slow burn. It was a slow burn at first, where it was just like, okay, fine, you're cold and I didn't do anything. I didn't really do anything to her. Now, I'm sorry that I left, but, what do you want me to do? Not my thing. Can't really do anything. Sorry that I left to get someone else involved. It didn't pull you away with me. But, I was 20? I was 20 at the time. So, couldn't do much. But, if you want to blame me, that's fine, I guess. Fuck you, I guess. If you're going to really blame me for a drunk decision. So, there's that. But, she targeted me because she, had gone through a traumatic experience with some drunk so, she now targeted me as, like a punching bag to, like, get off, like, to work through her issues, but, I was going through my own shit with, with our lovely friend, you know him, Darren. So I wasn't gonna be a punching bag, and it was the first time she, like, treated me unfairly was when I was in the most vulnerable position, was when no other busser was there. It was just me and the boss lady at the time and another boss lady, and we had to, like, they were basically doing the jobs of the bussers to help me out because I was the only busser on that night. And she took it, not the boss, but, the coworker took it upon themselves to stage a situation where I would be targeted by the boss because no other busser was there, so it would be like I would be the only target that they could think of, like, why are you doing this thing the way you're not supposed to be doing it? And our boss was a hard ass, so, like, it was action first, questions later, if any questions. And that was like a blindsided moment, and it was the first time she stabbed me in the fucking back, which we know how I feel about backstabbers. So she did that. And that was the peak of it, and then it was, microaggressions with her, and it was microaggressions on my side too, because in defense of her microaggressions, and then at the very peak of our, thing, that's when our new boss came in, and then she, was brought into it, and, oh my god, that was, so, needless to say, she fucked up. She, made an accusation that literally does not make any sense because of, being gay, me being gay, so, it doesn't make any sense, so there's no real basis in any physical reality. Like an openly gay guy, she was basically, if you spinning like, oh, he did the same thing that guy did, or, sorta, I don't know, whatever. And it was like, she was trying to, like, make this whole thing and concoct a story that would, paint me as a molester, and it's fucking dumb. Like, it's, like, I know she was doing it out of pain, but, like, it's, even that, like, the thought process was fucking dumb. Like, yeah, that's plausible to happen. No, it isn't. It's not even plausible. I guess if I was, like, Milo Yiannopoulos or whatever the fuck, but I'm not, so. And we had a a sit-down meeting. Both of us had a sit-down meeting with the boss. The boss took my side again. Wonder why. Probably because I keep my head down for most part, and I do my job, and, she had created other shit for herself as well. She created other shit with other people, and it was, I was her main target. But she, I feel bad, but, like, not really, because I'm not going to be a punching bag. So, she did that, and then she, I don't know if she quit or got fired, because first of all, she made an accusation where the place I work at could be held liable if I were to get fired on false pretenses. I could come back and sue them. So she could have gotten fired, or she quit because she can't get her way. So, I don't know. And then she couldn't really get her way anyways. Now she works at another restaurant, and I think I've heard from a coworker that worked there, and she only works there 1 day a week. But, the only thing again, I didn't do anything. Like, the only thing I really did was the microaggressions to compete with her microaggressions. That's it. But there was one microaggression that I am proud of, when she was making all these accusations that I wasn't helping her out. Then I helped her out. As in okay, if I'm not going to be helpful, if you think I'm not going to be helpful, I'm going to help you. She fucking hated it so fucking much, and I loved it. I felt so good, and I bathed myself in her hatred, in her fury. It felt so good, like, but there was that. So, again, didn't do anything but, basically talk shit and, little microaggressions to, combat her little microaggressions. And then talk to the boss, too. Like, I literally had to come out to the boss because she wanted to be a dumbass. Like, really? That's so fucking dumb. Like, like, being gay is normal. So, like, it's not gonna be like, oh, this boss is gonna be like, yeah, that could never happen. Like, and if you know my boss now, like, it's a lot funny. There's irony in it. It's irony in what she did. Like, it's so fucking dumb. But, there's that. So, basically, like, my advice to people with stronger personalities, aren't as, receptive in their personality type, being receptive, is, I'm not going to say, like, quiet your personality, because that's not going to happen. But I am going to say, try to listen a little bit more. For the people that are being treated unfairly. Okay, for the people being treated unfairly, establish a dialogue with that person. Even though they're treating you unfairly or targeting you, try and establish a dialogue. And it's going to be harder to do it, but just try to do it. So if it's in a work situation, if you think a coworker or maybe a boss is going to be a little bit harder. But if you're, if a coworker is, treating you unfairly, or a group of coworkers, try and establish a dialogue with one of them, or the one that's, starting shit with you, or doing things, or, like, microaggressions, or try, don't be a bulldozer. Like, don't be defensive. Listen to what they have to say, and put things into practice. Even if you have it your way, and your way works just as well and really good, if you are a new person in that, work environment, if you're new coming into it, try and go with their flow. Be a part of their, flow. Don't be a bulldozer and just start doing things your own way. Your way might be good. It could be great. But they already have something established. And if you coming in and start doing things and try and change things, you could be seen as a colonizer or someone who's just, here to do whatever the fuck they want, and they don't have respect for, the establishment and the other employees. So, do things their way. Don't just bulldoze and be like, everyone fucking out of my way, don't bother me, I'm doing my things my way. That's not going to work. It's going to make you seem like an asshole to them, and that's why they're probably going to target you. If they are targeting you. It could be the boss targeting you. Now, if it's the boss, the best way to, the best way I can think of is, again, respect the establishment and the established flow of things. So do things their way, and respect the boss. Have a healthy amount of respect for the boss. Like, and if you are not like me and are brave enough and open enough, maybe you can, try, establish a dialogue directly with the boss, try to be friendly with the boss, and then maybe, have a platonic relationship, a platonic working relationship with the boss. And, they'll have your back if you do, for the most part. So, the only thing I can say is, work with the flow. Don't just come in and do whatever the fuck you want, because you're going to be seen as an asshole and people are going to target you. For the most part. Well, for the situation I'm in, we as a group, well, no, I'm not including myself in this actually. Unless they're really a fucking asshole, then I'll jump on that bandwagon and shitty on them. But for the most part. Alright, so another question. Okay. Moving on from that. So my friend, same friend, wants me to talk about, money problems. I'm 22. Both my jobs, another disclaimer, both of my jobs were basically given to me. I knew someone, for my second job, I knew someone who worked at that job, and they, put in a good word for me. That's how I got the job. We didn't even have an interview I didn't even have an interview. It was basically, can you do this? Would this work? Okay, you can start this day. Here's your work shirt, and let's get to it. And then training, obviously, But my first job, my first real job that I, got, they were desperate. They were so desperate for workers. They needed bodies to, just be in there helping out. And that's how I got in. That's how I got the job. My mom hates it when I say that, but it's the truth. They were really desperate. For the job that I was doing, I was not physically qualified. While I could manage the job, I'm not the safest one to employ for that job because of my stature, my short stature, and because of my, while I could manage it, it was fine. But, it wouldn't have been it wasn't a good idea. I still work at that place. I'm not doing that job anymore. I've, I didn't work my way up front. But I had my first job in that place, and then they moved me to a better job that was more suited to and catered to, my short stature, and so I could work easy, which wasn't all that easy, actually. And, I had some problems, but most of the people are gone now, so it doesn't really matter. So, there's that. And the second job, at the first place, that's when I worked with Deacon. And now I basically work by myself. I work by myself, basically, and I stock shelves. So, I don't know. But again, I got this job because the workplaces were so desperate for people that they were basically taking anyone, and they took me. And like everything I said was in the interview was complete bullshit. Let's be honest, it's bullshit. Like, I don't recommend doing that, but like I did it. I don't remember what I said, but like that. But if you're in a place where you need a job desperately, one, there's, you can drive, well, okay. If I'm talking directly to this friend, talking directly to my friend who should be watching if you're going to ask a question, you're probably going to have to be humble and, go into any sort of work. You're going to have to be open to working pretty much anywhere. Even if you don't have experience, you're going to have to be open to working anywhere. I'm not going to say a lie on your resume because I don't think they're going to figure it out. As soon as you lie, they're going to catch you in that lie if you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Listen more. Listen to their questions and really, if you have to make a bullshit, make a bullshit. Like, who cares? Like, if the people are really, if they're desperate enough, they're just looking to hire someone. It doesn't matter. You just have to be able to do that job. You have to be physically and mentally capable of doing that job and staying there long enough where they feel, comfortable with you doing that job. Now, for everybody else, who is, just general advice to everybody else. I guess that's general advice. But just general advice for everybody else. If you can drive and are comfortable with driving other people, and you know your way around whatever city you're in, Uber and Lyft. Or a taxi driver, I guess, if you have taxis. I don't know maybe you have to have a license, like a taxi certification. But like Uber and Lyft, I don't think require, for drivers. I don't know what it is, the process. Figure out the process and, if the process is easy to get through and you're able to do it, get through the process and then you'll have a job. But be a taxi driver, be an Uber driver, be a Lyft driver to make some cash happen for, to keep you sustained for the moment while you're trying to find another job that is a little bit more stable and has, a steady flowing income, or what could be considered a steady flowing 9 to 5 income. So that's, like money problems. I know he tried. I think he wanted me to talk about, magical means and any other means like that. One, if you're only doing magic, if you're only doing witchcraft, if you're only doing spells to try to get you money, it can have an effect. You can draw money to you. But if you're wanting stable income, if you're wanting stable money, you're gonna have to get a job. It's like where you live in the real world, you're gonna have to get a job. You can cast to get a job easier. You can do a sweetening spell, or you can do something like that. You can do an attraction spell on yourself and do things like that. That's kind of an easy thing to do, because if you know what you're doing, I guess. If you want to do that, that's a little bit easier. But you're still gonna have to do the work. You're gonna have to do the mundane, filling out applications, talking to the boss, schmoozing with the boss or the, whoever's hiring. And you're gonna have to, play the human game. You can't just play the witchy, out of this world spirit talking game. You're gonna have to do the human, more mundane thing to do. And, like, that's the only thing I can really, that's the only advice I can give on when it comes to money and having problems with money. That's your best bet. And, you know what? You're going to have to save money, too. You're going to have to learn how to save money. If you are really bad at spending, if you go out to eat every fucking night, stop going out to eat. Go to a fucking store. Walk to a fucking store, get some groceries, get like 2 weeks worth of groceries. If you have the income to do it, do that and eat the cheapest shit that you can afford. And so you can save up money. Be a penny pincher. Like, you don't need new things. You don't always need new things. Wear the same shirts. Wear clothes that you already have. You don't need to go out and buy clothes. This is going to be a little bit harder if you are trying to, if you are a very gift-giving person. You're going to have to, slow down or completely stop. Completely stop spending your money on gifts. Either if it's, try to attract someone or keep someone in your life, stop doing it. If that person really likes you, they're going to stay around for you. They're not going to stay around for your shit that you keep buying them. Stay around for them. And you know what? You're going to have to learn other ways of showing affection. Showing other ways that you care about someone. Me, I'm not a very gift-giving person, so it's not really that hard for me to save money. Even though I just paid for a car, a statue, and a tripod, and books. Listen, I needed the car, obviously. And I need to get a better tripod situation. While I like my tripod that my mom gave me, she bought it for me. I appreciate it. I love it. It's great. It works right now. I'm using it right now. But I need, I need a taller tripod situation. It's not just like a desk tripod. So I need that. So I bought that. It's, ordered already. The car thing. And you know what? I'm a witch. And I'm also a pagan. And I also work with, personified deity. So, you know that if you know, you know. But, when spirit comes in and then they won't leave you alone and you're working with them, sometimes it's easier for me, a visual person, it's easier for me to have a visual representation of that deity or of that spirit on my altar space. So, that's why I got it. So, if you want to talk shit or give me shit about it, move along. Because, I'm really good at talking shit. Alright. So, that's... Oh, don't do that. If you're, You know what? Being a witch is actually kind of expensive. Well, no, not always. Not always. You don't... For my, craft, it's more expensive. If you're just doing energy work, meditation, and anything, you don't need tools. You don't need it, obviously. You can get things for really cheap at the dollar store and shit like that. So you can, there are cheap options, there are free options. So you can do that. You look up correspondences. Use Google. Google's good for things like that. I mean, I have books, but Google, I started with Google. But there's that. Alright. Moving on. Alright, so this one, my mom asked me. And I'm assuming in the comments she meant getting in your own way. Okay, so I get in my way a lot. I get in my way a lot more than people think. Because I'm very patient, and when I, talking about, what was it? Going around issues, avoiding issues, so I don't have to, really deal with it. There's, that. Now, obviously, I have dealt with some issues, or, some issues, certain, I haven't dealt with them fully, but I've dealt with them, in a micro way, where I know I can do it, but, I don't I like the outcome, but I don't like putting the work into it. And I only do it when I really need to do it. So, for me, this is going to be a little different coming from a spiritual perspective, because I work with deity. I work with personified deity. And I started, kind of early with deity work. You do you, but that's what I did. It's not really recommended, and it's a lot of research too, working with deity. It's very research based. But I was, for the really big stuff, talking about really big stuff, I did a little bit of path working with Kali from the Hindu pantheon. I'm not going to go into full things, but Kali from the Hindu pantheon for, ending a situation, or, kind of ending my, my aggression, sort of. My active aggression. Let's say my active aggression towards, our very favorite person that I love to talk about, but I'm trying not to talk about him right now. But, ending my active aggression towards him. It hasn't, now I'm more I'm on defense, and for even then, it's not even so much defense anymore. It's more of keeping a watchful eye on their shit. For the most part, and I also work with my patron deities as well. For the most part. Right now. I don't work with Kali. She just came into my life, and as soon as I, did the shit I needed to do, she was like, okay. She kind of, floated out of my life and was, I respect her as a deity. I respect her as personified deity. And her culture as well. I respect her. But now I work with my patron deities. Now, I'm an eclectic, so not everybody's going to be cool with, how I do things. Not my problem. Fuck off. But, I work with the Morgan, and I'm reading a lot about her right now. Well, not right now, but I am, I have 2 books right now, and obviously online as well. I work with Sekhmet and Bastet. I have a book that I'm reading currently right now. And, I'm a Leo too, so that's, I want to say I work with Hecate, but I don't really work with her. I venerate her. I'm venerating her until I get my book on her. I already have a book ordered, which isn't out yet, but, it's coming out in the summer. So, I have a book on her coming in the summer. Plus, I'm learning, you know what, I do have a book that I have right now that I'm, reading as well. So, I have that. But that doesn't matter. Who cares? Whatever. Mundane shit. Getting in your own way. Stripping all the spiritual application and stuff like that. For the most part, if I'm getting in my own way, it's more a psychological thing. So that could be fear of consequences, or, fear of the consequences, and me being, kind of, again, I don't like starting fights. I will end a fight. I will, end a verbal fight, and if need be, I will end a physical fight. And I can, I have my witchy thing, so I can do that too. So I can handle myself in a verbal fight really well, obviously. And I mean, I'm not gonna deal with if it comes to physical, like I'm putting my life before theirs. I don't care. So that's that. But like for fear, like if you're dealing with, like fear of consequences, that's a little difficult because when I've dealt with, situations where I was scared of the consequences or the outcome that might come of it, like the unknown outcome. Because, coming out gay, like, hi, if you haven't noticed, or no, but like, coming out, I lived in a moderate conservative home with my mother. She is, she's open, she's much more open now than she is. And she, loves me just the same. And all that, other stuff that parents should do. They should do. If you're gonna have a child, you better love and take care of that child. Obviously, you put 9 months into it. Or you adopted that child. But obviously. But, there's that. So, growing up, like, I didn't know I was gay until, like, high school. Late high school. No, early high school. I mean, it's 4 years, so that's not like 5 years, but still. So, but like I spent like a whole year keeping that secret, and it got to the point, because I'm very open with my mother, but I couldn't really be open about that. It got to the point of where I developed, physiological symptoms because of my secret that I was keeping. Yes. And if you notice me during that time period holding my shoulder, that's what it was from. Because I was in pain. Psychologically, not really, but But at one point, like, I just said, fuck it, and like, it wasn't really that. It wasn't like that. It was more of it was like the classic sit down. Well, it was a classic sit down, sit with, like my mother and Darren. And it was like, okay, I'm this, and then she was obviously, dumbstruck because, no, me, let's be honest. Let's all be honest with ourselves. Like, maybe I'm not, the flamboyant gay. I'm much more flamboyant than I was. But even then, I was still pretty flamboyant. But, again, it doesn't mean you're gay. It doesn't mean... That doesn't have anything to do with that. That doesn't have anything. But the stereotype. But like that. Like, you can be gay and you can be a jock. And you can, not exude any sort of gay vibe. But you can, still be attracted to men. Or still be attracted to the same sex. But there was that. But it was a stereotypical sit down. It was because, I was kind of over it. And I just wanted, to tell her. And then I had my friend, we had this whole situation planned out, and it worked well. I think it worked well. But we had a whole situation where we, we were going to sit down. I was going to tell them, and then we would jet off. And then we were looking for jobs at the time. Didn't find a job until later. So, we had that job. We had that. And, so it gave them time to think and, not, interrogate me or, do any of that weird religious bullshit stuff that, more conservative people do to their children when, their children, just want to share a part of their identity with them. So there's that. What else? But yeah, I was, scared of the consequence. So, like, while I at that point, the consequence of it happening was, like, they could kick me out, they could be an asshole, they could be a dick, and at that point, like, I was ready to, kind of fuck them up verbally if they were to do something like that. They didn't, but, I was ready to do that. I was on guard and ready to do that sort of shit. And, but every time I get to that place where I'm like, like, if it gets really bad, that's when I get pissed off. That's when I get more fiery. That's when you see me, like, kind of, that's when you kind of see me do more things. Like, for the, like, talking about, like, getting, like, no, let's go a more, mundane situation. So at work, I made a video about, bitching about my coworkers. But, like, the cart that I use, all I had to do was go talk to, like, the kitchen boss and make sure that, hey, this needs to be here. My other coworkers are helping me out, I guess. They said they would help me out, but, they have their own shit to do. So they do that, but, like, I have to make sure that cart is there. And I do. I'm now more comfortable with doing it. After the first time, it's gotten easier. Plus, I'm in good standing with most of my coworkers anyways, so it's not as hard as I was making it out to be for myself. And for the most part, the outcome is probably going to be a lot, it'll be a lot easier on you than it will be, to just keep dealing with having, to, stand in your own way, to have those blocks. Now, I don't know if I said this on a video before, a video that I've uploaded before, but, like, I was dealing with a guy at work, at my first job. He was a customer. I mean, he still is, but, I was dealing with him, and because we stock shelves in a certain way, and how we do things during COVID times, like, like we have a 6 foot we have a 6 foot distance thing that we have, and, this guy was relentlessly on my ass, always. He was always around. He was always, being that sort of vulture, or being that, sort of like, I need to look in your cart, that you are, like, everything, the shelves are stocked, but I need to look in your cart. And I need to look at what you have. Which was getting to the point where it's, like, fucking annoying. And it was, like, borderline harassment at that point. Because I would try to avoid him as to not, deal with the confrontation, but it was just that one day, and I'm gonna throw a little bit of spirituality, but then it was that one day where he was just like on my ass, harassing me, basically doing that same thing, like always needing to be on the cart, and I was pulling the cart away, very aggressively because I was pissed off, like, the fuck you doing? First of all, you're old as fuck, and, like, if you get sick, it's probably gonna be horrible, and you're wearing a mask, fine, whatever, but, like, stop following me around. Look on the shelves. Go home. Do anything else. Stop harassing me, basically, internally. And, at that point, I got that, little voice in your head, whether it be your own conscience or, that little voice, like, that little realization where it clicked and be like, oh, he's not gonna leave me alone until I say something. He's gonna keep being a fucking dick until I say something, until I confront this dick. And I did it in the most professional way possible, whereas I just told him, like, can you give me space while I do this? And then he kind of cocked an attitude where it's kind of that bitchy attitude, like, sure, I'll give you all the space you need. Like, great. Fucking great. But, like, first of all, don't need the attitude, so fucking calm down. Second of all, you're an old white guy. Do you know what happens to old white guys who follow people around? They're labeled as predators. Like, get the fuck away from me. Like, but I couldn't say that. I'm at work. So. But that attitude, though, that kind of pissed me off. He still comes in. He still comes into my workplace. But now he gives me space. But, like, he kind of does that thing where he's, like, standing back. He, like, stands back. And out of the corner of my eye, I can see him staring, like, trying to look in the cart. But he, like, stands back. So he's giving me space, so that's great. But, listen, everything that's in the... If he's watching, or if anybody's watching who goes to my place of work, is looking into my carts, everything I take out of the cart, unless it's broken, it's going on the shelf. It's going on the shelf. Just look at it on the shelf. Like, it's gonna be the same price. You're not getting a deal. Like, it's the same fucking price. And just leave me the fuck alone. I want to do my job. I want to fucking do my job and get the fuck out. I don't want to... Listen. I don't need company. I got my own company up here. And up here, okay? I don't need anybody else. Unless I know you in the physical world. And I know you. Don't come near me. But I do say... But you know what? I get in my own way a lot. Because even though he's, standing back and he's, being that little creeper out in the corner of my eye, like, whatever, I can deal with that, that's fine, whatever. But as long as he's not coming near me and being creepy, whatever. But there are other people, mostly women, who are, who will do the same thing that he did. And will, like, look in the cart. But they'll say something. And you know what? I don't mind if they ask. I don't mind if people ask me first, like, can I see that certain item? And then pull it out for them, or they pull it out. I don't mind that. But, just rummaging in the cart while I'm trying to do my fucking job is annoying. And I don't say anything because... I don't like confrontation, but if it does happen again where it's one of those days where, that one certain person is riding my ass throughout the entire fucking store, it's probably going to happen again. Or I'm going to probably have to tell them, like, can you leave me the fuck alone? They'll probably get an attitude, not my fucking problem, whatever, cock an attitude, see what fucking happens. Probably nothing. Because I'm probably going to be too lazy and forget about your ass. Or, if you piss me off enough, I don't know. I hope your day goes well. After that. After, a few days after. Especially after a Tuesday or a Saturday. But there's that. So, I think getting in your own way... For me, what it takes for me to, get out of my own way is that discomfort. It's that, that extreme discomfort where I get so fed up where I have to do something. Where I do something out of impulse. Like, it's not necessarily anger. Well, actually, no, it's more annoyance. Anger. It's when I do things. It's when I'm in that, more fiery, aggressive state. It's when I'll do something. for the most part, for the most part, the candle flame is on low. It's on, it's like, I'm not gonna fucking burn your ass if you, are mildly annoying. Because I deal with mild annoyances I'm probably gonna deal with my mild annoyance every fucking day of my life. So, and I'm patient. So it doesn't matter to me. So the only thing I can really suggest is not, being patient. And if you feel like you really need to do something, then you should do it, regardless of the consequences. Because they can't be as bad as what you're going through currently. And if they do get worse, there'll always be people to help you out. I'm gonna be helpful. I'm gonna help you out. But you're always gonna have friends who will help you out too. Other friends, other family members that will be on your side and will help you. Help you out of that situation. Or encourage you to get out of that situation. If you need it. But, I will see y'all guys next time. Hopefully that helps a little bit. And hopefully you get, now you get to know how I do things. Or how I, if you don't know me, if you don't really know me. But now you can see how I do things. And I will talk to you all guys next time, okay?